against my enemies, yeah. You see, you wanted to save you.
Hello everyone, what is up? I am Rob.
I'm Eamon.
It is me, Fuzz. Namaste, bitches. What the fuck is going on?
That's what they say.
How is everyone? I kind of feel like we've been away, but we haven't, actually. We were recording last week.
Yeah, no, we haven't actually. We haven't missed any days.
But we missed
There was a
Monday.
Monday because we did 7 in a row.
We did, yeah.
Not enough, you greedy pigs. That's enough.
Hope you all enjoyed those, by the way. It was really fun putting them together. It's cool.
We pipelined it a bit better this year. It didn't feel
there was no crunch
as mental as it usually does.
There was no crunch. It was quite a peaceful thing, and I think we had a lot of good feedback. We hope everyone enjoyed it. It was cool, just getting in Brother Richard, getting in Strange Familiars, and then doing 2 of our own little things as well was quite nice as well. It was just a bit of everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what it should be. You don't want to listen to the same thing for 7 days, so we try to sprinkle a bit of magic on it.
And hope everyone is coming down off Halloween sufficiently. It is time to forget about ghosts now. It's all about Bigfoot today.
Good.
Yeah.
I've missed Bigfoot.
Today we are doing a special episode of Mini Fuzz where we are talking exclusively about Bigfoot sightings in the last year-ish.
Excellent.
Modern, new Bigfoot sightings. And these are all
fresh scat.
Users submitted to a website. Now,
this is the Bigfoot website, is it?
One of them. One of many.
One of the many Bigfoot websites.
Can't remember the name, but I'll get that next week.
Yeah.
But basically, I had a peruse of that website and I was like, loads of great stuff here, so we'll use that for a Mini Fuzz. Before we get into this episode, little shout out, we are now officially partnered on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're new to the podcast and just found us on YouTube, there's a couple of things you can do now for money. I don't know what. Check it out. We are going to be putting our exclusive Patreon episodes on YouTube as well now, so that's available there. But basically it's another way to sign up. Check it out, have a look, and if you don't want to do that, head on over to Patreon. It's the best way to support us, probably even better than YouTube, honestly. And you can pay yearly if you like to. A great Christmas present. I mean, come on. Imagine.
Hey, Granddad, you're never going to believe how much you're going to like this. There's hundreds of episodes.
Or also this March here.
Oh, that's very nice. That's a Shea original.
That's a Shea Stoner original.
My mother was a very big fan of that design. I have it on a green mug. And she said, I love that mug. And I said, that's an ancient Japanese. Not a yokai. What are they?
It is a yokai.
Is it a yokai?
Yeah,
or are they more spiritual?
No, I think
there was 2, wasn't there? Anyway, it's all in our Kappa episode. Go back. They have a dip in the head where the water is kept. And it also got me thinking about Super Mario and the turtles, and I thought to myself, surely that's inspired by the Kappa.
Yeah, it is.
As are the giant bullets. You know the Japanese folklore of the giant bullets.
I think it's on the record of being inspired by that. But yeah, you can head on over, check it out. That's by Shea. There's a bunch of merch over there on our merch store, and it's designed by a bunch of listeners. It's designed by people that we commissioned. Lots of cool stuff. Head on over, check it out. Eamon, if they have any cryptid encounter spooky stories, where do they go?
Have you seen Bigfoot? Or not even seen him, maybe you've heard him. I heard a few bangs coming out of my garden the other day, and I got the heebie-jeebies.
Did it whoop? Is that it? Whoop.
Yeah.
Alright. Whoop. It's Ric Flair.
He does that as well. He goes, samurai chatter, that's called.
Right.
And then sometimes he just goes,
right.
That's a horse. monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. Send in your stories, Bigfoot, ghostly, ghastly, or otherwise.
Yeah, anything really. Shouts out to our new patron, the Ohio Ranger.
Pretty cool.
He's going to be out looking for Bigfoot, I'd imagine.
Walker, Texas. Is there much Bigfoot sightings in Ohio, actually?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, there's Bigfoot sightings everywhere.
New York City, I heard, is a hot spot of Bigfoot sightings.
See, New York.
Upstate New York would be, yeah.
Yeah, upstate New York. So basically, I did a bit of research. I was looking around for Bigfoot stuff because it's been a while.
And we do like the foot.
It's actually been a while since we've done like cryptidy stuff, so it's time to get back to the cryptids. And this website is great. So what I might do is reach out to the guy who runs it and see if he wants to come on sometime, because he not only are all these accounts posted there, they're really informative. So it's like area, time of day, latitude, longitude, like everything, your GPS coordinates.
So you could actually go hunting yourself if you wanted to.
And not only that, but like every single account he responds to, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this matches up with that one, blah blah blah," and
so
he offers his insight,
triangulating where the Bigfoot,
and he offers insight to them as well.
Interesting.
So I'll get his name, and maybe we'll reach out to him and have him on.
That'd be cool.
So Eamon, if you want to take it away, this is a Bigfoot sighting in Maine from 2023.
2023 in the year of our Lord. So here we go. A big storm blew in around 7 a.m. and didn't move off until about 12:30. He says 12:30 a.m., which would mean the storm was a really, really big storm. So that's like a day and change. It knocked out power to our home sometime around 7 p.m. We have a chicken coop about 40 feet from our house. It's 2 feet off the ground and 12 by 20 inches with an entrance door that used to be the front door of our home. It was about 8:30 p.m. Sun sets around 3:30 this time of year. And I was shining my flashlight out an upstairs window when I saw a dark silhouette standing in front of my coop.
Oh, fuck.
The top of its head was in line with the top of the coop door. It was very muscular, broad shoulders, long upper legs, with proportionately shorter lower legs. It was too narrow at the hips to be a bear. We had a black bear in our cubs' den near our house a few years ago, but this was nothing like our shape.
Just to chime in there to set the scene, it was 12 foot by 20 foot, I think, rather than inches.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah. 12 foot by 20 foot. Is that how they do it? We do inches and centimeters.
Yeah, we do. Inches is 2, isn't it?
I can't remember.
I think it is.
That might be feet. Right, yeah. That'd probably make a lot of sense. You wouldn't have many chickens in there.
One chicken.
One chicken and a Bigfoot. Pretty cool. I moved the flashlight to try and get a better look, and it disappeared from view. The chicken coop is covered in white sidling. There's no mistake that this was bipedal. It was facing me when I first shined the light on it. I turned to run off just before I moved the flashlight. It turned to run off.
It was off. It was taken off and running away by. Wasn't having any of it.
It just went.
Yeah, and then.
Given that an average door is about 7 feet high and the coop is 2 feet off the ground, that would put it at about 9 feet tall, which is in or around where you would expect Bigfoot to be. That's the average Bigfoot.
Is it about 9 foot?
A minimum 7.5.
Would it
and
be?
It goes up as far. Some people have sightings of seeing like 15-foot Bigfoot.
That's class.
15-foot Bigfoot. That's scary. There was I think I heard on Wes's podcast, and it was like a grey old Bigfoot that was 15 feet tall. It's like a fucking Dark Souls boss.
Yeah, that's cool.
Terrifying.
Very cool.
What had me looking outside was a sound that I heard on the wind that alarmed me to my core. And this man probably had a very strong core as well, so that's how alarming it was. I had spent the day listening to this wind howl and moan, but this was different. It was guttural and within the sounds of the wind, but not in sync. It caused a physical reaction. My heart started racing and my stomach went into knots. I was tending to 2 of my grandkids that were playing with flashlights, mostly shadow puppets. I jumped to my feet and told them to hand me a flashlight and turn the other one off. To shine the flashlight outside through the window, I must put it against the window or it just reflects back. To see out the window, all other lights must be off. One of our dogs was barking furiously. Before I could tell my daughters what I saw, they tell me what they were experiencing downstairs with the 2 younger children and the dogs. Because the power was out, my youngest daughter was charging her phone in the car. She said she went out to get her phone off the charger and felt that somebody was watching her. The feeling was so intense that she stayed in her car a few minutes to look around and see if she could see anyone. When she got out to head back into the house, she only got a few steps away from her car when she heard the same sound I had heard. She said she was instantly terrified and ran into the house. The dog was in the window barking as she was coming through the door. My oldest daughter said that when she heard the howl, she saw her dog lift her head up and look out the window. Then it stood up and started barking frantically. The dog was looking in the opposite direction than my youngest daughter, who had just started to run to the front door. Nobody wanted to charge their phones in the vehicles after that.
Shouldn't do that anyway. It's a good way of draining your battery.
Yeah, I was just about to say you won't be going nowhere in that car.
Another thing you don't want to do is
Have Bigfoot around your house.
idle your car without driving it. Like a lot of people, they'll go out, they'll turn their car on, have the engine running, and they'll have like the AC on, or they'll be doing something in the car, but the battery isn't charging unless there's locomotion in the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
You have to get the thing moving.
Now these modern, newfangled cars are probably fine. You know,
not especially
all these soy boy Teslas.
I got caught with that with my hybrid.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had it on. Now, to be fair, we had been away for a couple of weeks, and it was just kind of sitting in the drive. I think me mum, my dad probably took it out once or twice for us just to keep the engine turning over. But I went down to Dune Boutique to wait for my wife to get off a bus, and when I was there I was just listening to music for a very short amount of time, and the battery went. So it's
had to move the wheels, brother.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
Sure, look, you learn once, and then hopefully you don't have to learn the same lesson again. Make a different balls or something else. This was not a mistaken identity about the sounds. We were in 30 mile per hour winds with 50 mile per hour gusts and a downpour of rain in December. I don't know of any animal, domestic or wild, that would be out in that weather. In the morning, sometimes the animals don't have a choice. If you're cold, they're cold. In the morning after sunrise, my oldest daughter went out to the trash bin that is next to the chicken coop. She found the heavy lid was lifted off the bin and set on the back of the bin opposite the direction the wind had been blowing. 2 large bags of trash were missing, and there was a trail of trash into the woods. The critters tear up the trash in the bin and pick out what they want. They do not carry 55-gallon trash bags home with them. There are no tracks of any kind because we don't have any soft mud spots. It's either gravel or grass around the entire area of our property.
So this last part there, these are like conditions you can fill out on the website just to add little more bits to it.
Okay.
So basically they're saying that they also noticed throughout the summer they heard odd chirping like sounds after dark, which they identified as a mountain lion.
Okay.
And then it asks, like, do you have other witnesses? So it says 3 adults, 3 children, and 1 of 3 dogs. A
Doberman.
Yeah, they're saying other stories. No, but we don't know many people. Time and conditions, this was 8:30 p.m. And the environment was wooded and farmland combined. This is rural Maine. And it says that there's Triple Creek, ski resort, hills, ponds, and potato farms nearby.
Okay. Rural Maine, is that where a lot of Stephen King books take place?
Alan Wake, I think, might happen up there.
Alan Wake, it looks Maine-y.
Yeah, I think it is.
Maine.
Maine is like nice looking. I like Maine. I think I could probably live in Maine.
I could. I think it would suit us because we're spooky boys.
Yeah.
We're shallow, spooky boys.
We are, yeah. I like all that shit. So what do you make of this one, Eamon? So the guy from the website actually chimed in on this, I believe, and he was saying something to the effect of like, oh, the Bigfoot was like scared of the weather too. So he was probably trying to like find shelter somewhere. That was what he offered. That was his insight. Kind of makes sense.
I was kind of, so he was at the coop trying to see if he could get into it in some way.
Yeah.
And then was just trying to get supplies from the bin.
Because I fucking may take this shit out of the bin while I'm here.
Yeah, I may just have glass.
I've come this far anyway, so... Well, yeah, he could be helping him out. Maybe he's going to try and find escape.
He's doing the recycling for him, I'd say. He was like, they're after throwing plastics in here now. I may sort this out.
Plastics mixed with the cardboard.
You can't be at that, yeah. Potato skins and plastics don't mix, lads. No. It's a weird one. Like, no human would be out in that kind of a storm, pillaging garbage.
Unless you're some kind of mentalist.
Which again, what's more likely, a mentalist or a 9-foot mentalist or a Bigfoot?
Bigfoot.
Yeah. That's the correct answer.
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. We have another one here. This one's kind of short and sweet. This is from, shouts out, Humboldt County in California. I think we have a couple of listeners in Humboldt County, actually. Yeah. Yep. The nearest town is Red Crest. The nearest road is the CA 254. So if you're driving along that road, watch out, people. 254. So it says, my wife and I were on a sunset walk through the Founder's Grove in the Redwoods. Everything got really quiet, and then something chattered. Stood quiet a second, gave a simple whoop, 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 and something vocalized again. Whoop. Spent a lot of time in the woods, and I've never felt that, just almost immediate dread. Whatever it was huge. Always have found the stories entertaining, but my goodness, there's nothing more terrifying than being in the woods just past sunset and hearing that. We hightailed it back to the car.
After doing years of this podcast, I would absolutely Weetabix if I heard something doing Bigfoot sounds in the forest. If I was out in Kirklow Woods with myself and I just heard Bigfoot sounds, I'd be like,
out of it.
Well, like, especially when metaphysical Bigfoot isn't bound to a location.
He probably doesn't make sounds. Metaphysical, I'd say.
Metaphysical Bigfoot does his metaphysical Bigfoot pleases.
I'd say the flesh and blood Bigfoots make noise. I'd say this like metaphysical.
I don't know, man. Metaphysical, I'd say he goes around singing Tool and all. There's somebody.
No, I think he's beyond sounds. I don't think he needs them.
He is sound.
Don't think he needs them.
Some people talk about Bigfoot and Dogman being able to use infrared to make you all squirrely.
I believe that.
I would believe anything that ever.
It's like going to the sunbeds. You're all fucked up on ultraviolets and shit. Also noticed, he says that the chattering that I mentioned seemed to disappear when we moved away. Same time something was moving through the brush. Sounded like it was going away and deeper into the woods. We were hiking the loop, heard it, turned around, making our way back to our vehicle. That's when I gave the whoop back and was met again with the same chatter.
He's whooping back.
So there was 2 other witnesses to this one, and this was just after sunset and clear conditions in a nice redwood forest. I'd like to see an old redwood forest.
Some grand sequoias, lovely.
Fun little fact, actually. There's like a redwood plantation up in Wicklow.
Oh yeah,
and they're not native to Ireland, but that's where they filmed the Jurassic Park. There was a trailer for the last Jurassic Park that it was like a short film where it was like a family camping in RVs and there was like a dinosaur outside or something. It was like a little teaser. Right. It's like a minute or 2 long, but that was actually shot in Wicklow rather than North America.
That's class.
Yeah, because
what was the last one that came? It wasn't Dominion, was it? Was that the last?
I can't remember. I tried to forget.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
The last one wasn't that bad. It was the one before that was cack.
It was the last one where the Brontosaurus was left on the island and it made us all sad.
That was the first one, I think.
I don't think it was the first one. No, the first one was like when they have the new park.
Yeah, and then they leave the park and the Brontosaurus gets all fucked up.
No, I don't think so. I think that was like the second one. The second one is like when the
second one's sort of just like a horror film.
Is like, I think that was that one.
That's shite.
And then the third, what happens in the third one again?
Alan Grant and all's back, remember?
Do they reopen the park?
No, Alan Grant and Malcolm and all are in it. Remember, they have to go back. We got to go back.
I watch that drunk. Like I can't.
It's good.
Remember. Is it good?
Well, it's not good. It's grand.
It's good, but it's not good.
It's good because it's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's like grand as any other movie.
Are good.
Well, even though the second one I think is like objectively just not good.
I don't like it.
No,
but like I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I do
Jeff
remember,
Goldblum elevates anything. Yeah, and he was in the last one.
Except that show Chaos that you said was garbage.
Well, loads of people loved that. That was just me. Yeah.
Well, I'd trust you over those people.
Well, it got cancelled, so I was right. This is trash.
Rob was
right. Fucking garbage. But what were we going to say? The Redwood Forest. Is there anything that you have to chime in on that? No,
I like them.
Yeah, you like Redwood Forest.
Redwood. I like that the wood is red, in keeping with the
fine big tree.
Demeanor. Are redwoods like the grand sequoias, the big giant like 60-foot circumference ones that you can?
Big ass trees. Like,
yeah, lovely trees.
I don't know if sequoias, big ass trees is what they call them.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
A big sighting in Illinois in Peoria County. Peoria County, yeah.
So this occurred on Highway 24, drew south of Glasford. The nearest town, so it was in between Glasford and Canton on Route 9. He's a truck driver. He says, I drive Route 9 between Glasford and Canton 6 days a week. I love you.
No.
It's actually 8 days a week, but that's not real. On October 5th and at about 6 a.m, I was heading towards Canton, walking towards the side of the road as if it was, so that the thing he saw was walking towards the side of the road, as if it was trying to cross the road. A very tall brown creature with a lot of fur, about 8 feet tall, with very large yellow glowing eyes. There were no other witnesses. It was just me on the truck. But there were also vehicles on the highway at the time, so potentially other people saw it. There's no other stories that match that one at the same time and location. It was 6 a.m, still very dark. The conditions were clear, no rain or anything. Around the area, there's a lot of fields and grass and fishing ponds and lake, and it's right near a wildlife park.
Oh, so
that must be a mad thing though, like, because I'd imagine if you're like a trucker or whatever, it's probably, I don't know if this guy was a trucker, was he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, truck driver.
Yeah.
It's like, it must be spooky enough to just sleep in a place in a truck
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They pull in on the side of the road all over the shop. But then in America, I'd imagine now I might be wrong.
They say
it's a lot more.
I was listening to a guy
truckers
talk about it before, and he was like, sometimes it's a bit like, even if you stay at the location, like lads will come and try to rob you or whatever.
Yeah,
which kind of makes sense, you know. You're obviously carrying wares in the back of the
have you seen the back? Some of them are class, like
with the cabs and
PlayStations up in there and fucking fridges.
You'd be able to charge your phone and then boys, no bother.
And you'd be able to fucking clear, like, you know, Elder Scrolls Skyrim. You'd have that much time. You'd
look outside and you see Bigfoot and it's like you're in Skyrim in a truck.
Yeah.
Is there any lads that look like Bigfoot in Skyrim?
Yeah,
yeah. A few big feats.
Yeah, I think the first, you know, talk about cryptids in video games, there was always that urban legend of Bigfoot in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
You could see him in the distance or something.
There was a lot of like kind of creepypastas about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. There's another one where it's like the driver through the woods. There's like a ghost car that drives through the woods or something like that.
They do put some stuff, because wasn't it in Grand Theft Auto 5 there's a Bigfoot?
Yeah, well, like Alistair Wood, who listens to the pod when he's chatting to him, like, yeah, he's one of the lads that's mad into that stuff. So I think they're all just kind of into it. It's like because you had to remember that those games weren't far removed from the likes of X-Files and stuff like that.
They've never made like an open world game that was meant to be kind of spooky.
No.
I was just thinking about that.
Well, Manhunt-ish is not open world, but like it's snuff.
And you're putting bags over fellas' heads and all. But it would be kind of a cool thing if you were like some sort of paranormal detective. I guess open world, that one, The Sinking City, but that was more Lovecraftian than straight spooky. It would be cool to be a paranormal detective.
Ghostwire Tokyo is kind of similar.
It's a first person garbage. First person garbage. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just like, it's not exactly one. Like if you think of a GTA style game where you're a paranormal investigator, you have Vampire the Masquerade, but that's all just vampires. I think we need to make a game.
Deadly Premonition?
Deadly Premonition's up there actually, but I mean that's kind of garbage. Even though it's one of my favorite games of all time, it is like, to be fair, if Deadly Premonition was on the GTA engine and was made by the people who made GTA, but it would be pretty cool.
Red Dead Undead Nightmare. There you go.
Red Dead Undead Nightmare, but again, it's all zombies.
Yeah.
You need some spooky ghouls. You need a few little small lads, El Duendes. You need all this stuff.
Is Bigfoot not in Red Dead 2, maybe?
I think he's in Red Dead 1.
I don't know.
Isn't there a thing where like his wife gets killed, Bigfoot's wife or whatever?
Oh,
I think
maybe.
they had a civil ceremony, and then he has to like.
There's like a ghost dog in that in GTA as well. There's lots of weird shit.
There's lots of shit. Stuff. Yeah, we want a game where you're a paranormal investigator in a cool town.
Yeah,
and all cool stuff.
Maybe we'll do a cryptids and video games episode at some point in time.
That would be good.
So yeah, Camp County, Texas. The nearest town was Pittsburgh, not to be confused with many other Pittsburghs in America. Its nearest road was the county road 3320, about a mile off Highway 556. Observed, hello. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Joshua Parrish.
That's a good name for the protagonist.
Sounds familiar, actually.
For the protagonist of the spooky open world game.
Yeah. Me and my fiance are building a barn dominium in Pittsburgh, Texas, way out in the rural country. We have 10 acres, but we're surrounded by thousands of rural land, water, and deep woods.
Thousands of them.
We were getting a lot of strange things happening around the house at night, like rocks being thrown and rolling down the roof, screams that sound like a female, and then some sounds like extremely large males. Hey, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
I have a hardwood tree probably 5 inches around that's probably 20 feet tall that was snapped in half right across my deer stand. Lots of, I guess you could call them tree knocks or rock knocks, whoops or yells. There's obviously something going on out there. I work out of town a lot and my fiance is here by herself with 2 kids.
She doesn't like that.
Things are getting kind of eerie at night.
Yeah. Like my wife doesn't like staying in the house by herself. She never actually has. She's never stayed in the house without me being there. No? I don't think so. Like for a few hours or whatever. I don't think she's ever stayed there overnight. She had the heebie-jeebies. She wouldn't have a strong male. ward off.
How has she managed 45 years of her life?
I know, come on now, you don't need to give her she'd be coming down here with a knife between her teeth if she hears you giving out her age.
But yeah, no, seriously though, it's been
Robert, you fucking bastard. I think, and living in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
I don't
Where
know.
it's like more dangerous. Actually, in Sao Paulo, the more people around you, the worse it is.
Yeah. Like the ideal is to be alone somewhere. I don't know. I think for her, I think she's grown up in a place so she's used to like the noise of the city and everything going on. Because when we were in Dorset Street, you'd hear lads breaking each other up in the alleyways, and I was like, that's way worse than like, you know,
quiet.
But I think as well, our garden is a little bit spooky.
Little bit
spooky, you know.
Yeah, it is
trees.
a little bit. Get a pet.
I'm gonna get a
Doberman.
Yeah.
Pincher.
Sure.
So they also noticed, other than what I've described you guys already, I can't think of anything right offhand other than, you know, the screaming and trees breaking and trees banging into each other and rocks clanking. So that's basically his whole thing. He always says there's witnesses. He says pretty much there's the whole family there. We do have company over, and they have actually heard things too. Usually we're just outside. We've got a big back porch with a pond in the backyard, and then there's thousands of acres of rural land behind us. Do you know, like, this is the difference between America, Australia, and Ireland and the UK. Ireland and the UK are quite closely related in this regard. Is that we all live in fucking biscuit tin houses. Like,
comparatively,
the meter squared average house in Ireland, I believe, is somewhere around 88 to 95 meters squared.
That's for the garden, or is this just the structure?
I think just the structure.
Yeah.
And then in America, it's I think 180.
Yeah.
Americans have big ass houses.
You can buy land for not like massive.
No, because
America's
so much land.
big, yeah. But again, you have to go out into the middle of nowhere.
And as well, American houses are biscuit tins for different reasons. Most of them are wooden frame.
Yeah.
You know, we have these big solid fucking brick houses.
Well, they used
brick
to be
shit
solid.
houses.
They used to be
solid.
not
all of them are now.
Yeah, now you
nowadays.
bang through the door.
But it's just because, like, I was watching, there was a reality show in Australia. I think it was like, wasn't Love on the Spectrum? Down for Love was one of them.
It was one of them.
Yeah, and like every family had a fucking massive house, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I was like, what is going on here? Where everyone has these massive houses, but it's just normal. Like, they just have big ass houses. Like, I'd say even the idea of semi-Ds is just not much of a thing over there, really.
Yeah, I think it's like flats,
and we're like plebs.
Yeah, but it is like flat because we're semi-D, aren't we?
Yeah, we're semi-D.
We're semi-Ds.
Plebeians.
Sometimes we're fully hard Ds.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting because even when you look at real estate in America, like, I've looked at times and I'm like, yikes! Like almost every house in America. I'm speaking in big generalizations here, folks. But like in, say, rural ass, the equivalent of Wexford in America, like you can get. Like, basically all houses come with like half acre, you know what I mean? A standard, pretty much. Like, they all have big amounts of land around them.
The suburbs, like, are just a much bigger. Yeah, because we're suburbanites.
Yeah.
Just shy of the town. But yeah, you know, it's a fair point. What I do think is interesting is this: there's so many stories of this where you build a place or you have a bit of land, and then it's like the Bigfoots get upset with you and they start pelting rocks. Like, that's a really common thing.
As they should. That's also something that doesn't happen over here much, is like they're trying to like zone out people from being able to buy random ass plots of land in the country, which I kind of agree with a little bit.
Well,
I do and I don't, because like I do like the idea of living in the middle of nowhere.
They want to keep the integrity of the
and also like Donegal is very like it, where it's like there's just loads of random ass roads that lead to nowhere because one motherfucker decided to put a house down some fucking lane. So it's just like a lot of random spaghetti roads.
That's why there's such a big thing about road frontage in Ireland. Like, you know, it's always a joke with the farmers, like a road facing land. Which obviously means then you can sell it or do whatever, build a house. There's a time in Ireland now when a woman wouldn't look at you twice unless you had road frontage, they'd call it.
Well,
thankfully you'd say to them, you don't worry now, I have plenty of frontage for you, it'd be grand.
Yeah, well, look, it's just funny though. It just shows you the differences between the countries. But again, because America's so fucking large, Australia is so fucking large, it's like, there you go, here's a big slab of land.
But you still have the exact same problems we have here in the condensed urban locations where like the rents are bananas and no one can afford to live anywhere rather. So
he goes on to say as well that there was an incident of something slamming, I would assume a fist or something, into the house one night. But it seems like since I put out deer feeders and hunting stands that everything has moved into a fast forward motion. I guess I'm starting to feel like maybe it or they are getting kind of angry at me for, I guess, maybe hunting what they consider their land. He says, when I'm prompted for other stories, I know I can't say that I have, but we only know two of our neighbours, and they're all probably half a mile or more away. We're actually the only house on this road at the moment, so we're pretty much out here by ourselves. It's not something I guess I'm comfortable talking to other people around here about. I kind of keep it to myself and the family. He says most of the activity that he hears, which is interesting because it kind of ties in with all the rest, is like late evenings, middle of the night. So sunset kind of, or just before the sunsets. Seems to be peak Bigfoot time. Yeah. We've heard branches and trees breaking. There's been pebbles thrown at the house and rolled down the roof. I guess it hasn't really been too chilly until right now. Today is the coldest day of the year. I think last night was the most activity we've had. And he says himself, deep in the piney woods. It is very wooded with pine trees and hardwoods. Lots of water nearby. Lots of rural country. Lots of gas pipeline leases. Nature is healing. Put in the gas pipelines. There are thousands of acres around here that are uninhabited by people. Class.
It is a mad thing though. Like, can you imagine if you had just bought a place, or indeed if this land was inherited and you built a house or whatever you did, like every night, because that's a real spooky thing. Like, it's very hard to explain how are pebbles getting thrown up onto my roof, because there's no animal that does that. So
get the Ring doorbell.
Yeah, possibly.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think that Bigfoot probably have a hefty old javelin type throw on him. He'd be able to get out of the way of the ring, you know?
You reckon?
Bigfoot would be a strong old man now, I'd say. Bigfoot would do very well in American baseball. Or Japanese baseball.
Yeah.
Or baseball, I think, is that.
He'd probably do better in Japanese baseball.
Destroy them.
Way bigger.
Japanese lads, wouldn't he?
Twice the size.
Can you imagine him just milling through lads like on the... What are they called? The quads? The diamonds? Is that it? The diamonds?
No idea.
The Bigfoot would just go straight through them. The plates, yeah. Diamond plates. He goes straight through them. They have no chance.
He'd break them all up. Yeah, so that's the Bigfoots. What do you think? Like, this is again, this is something that we talk about. We've actually been a little bit removed from cryptid sightings lately. We've actually done a way more and had way more write-ins about ghosty stuff. Yeah. Like, we don't... As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say we get very little write-ins about cryptid stuff. So it's interesting to see how many sightings are still actively reported in cryptid circles.
I'd say it's one of those things where, like, it doesn't affect us in the same way like UFO. You don't hear much about UFO sightings because generally speaking in Ireland, nobody sees UFOs and definitely no one sees Bigfoot. So for us, it's like... It's not something you come across very often, whereas with ghosts, there's a constant... You're only a handshake away from someone who's seen a ghost.
True, but to be fair, like, most of our listeners are American.
True, but they may not live in the areas where... Now, I'm sure some of them do. I know, like, I remember one of the first stories was Johnny writing in about the...
Oh, that's right,
the wood knocks, right? Yeah, I'd say it's one of those things, but the fear of it, again, if you are just out in the middle of nowhere and there's something tormenting you like that just feels horrible. Because even the other night, because this stupid podcast, I could hear banging, and I was half asleep, so it could have been my garden, it could have been down, I could have just been hearing stuff. But I was like, my first thought is just like, Bigfoot in the garden. Because you're so much... Like, if lads started throwing pebbles on the roof, I'd be like, oh no, Dogman and Bigfoot in the garden. Yeah. And that would be my first thought.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's logical.
It's logical based on the illogical stuff that we do for 4 hours together every week.
That website is really good, though. I'll get a link for it. I'll put it in the description.
Have you ever seen the overlaps they do where it's Bigfoot sightings and ownership of ghillie suits?
No.
There's loads of different things they've done where it's like, there's another one with UFO sightings and, I don't know, fucking mental
drones
clinics or whatever. Drones, But they do a load of stuff like that, and you see the little hot spots. Now, the other argument would be, obviously, you're going to have more ghillie suits in places where people see Bigfoot because it's real rural land, so that stands to read. You're not going to have lads in ghillie suits going down, like, Madison Square Garden.
No.
Going down Madison Square Garden.
No, yeah, it is fascinating. I think that there's it's interesting when you go through sites like this, actually, because I haven't done... This was the first time in our 4 years of talking about this stuff that I've actually gone to a site like this. And it's just fascinating to see the sheer number of reports that come in, and you're just kind of like, all right.
Well, again, think a podcast like Sasquatch.
Yeah.
There's tons of other ones, and every week there's someone writing in or someone on the blower telling about his encounter, you know?
Yeah, because some people would say like, oh, well, what's the point? Like, there's no proof for this or that. But like, the interesting thing to me is just that like something is happening. So it's like, well, what is it? Is it just a bear? Is it explained? Yeah. Like, even if it is that, I'd like to hear and find out.
Wood knocks, hollers, so all that. You're kind of like, yeah, well, maybe there's some animal that makes a weird sound. Fair enough. Pebbles being thrown on your roof is like,
yeah, well, that's
what does that?
Humanoid, or maybe a bird can do that, but like probably humanoid.
Time to throw rocks on the roof again.
Yeah, it could be.
How dare you come into my territory?
It could be.
Yeah, but this is the thing, like, and then you do get into that whole metaphysical side of things. And we've had Brother Richard on here, obviously, who's talked in depth about this. And he talked about how things can manifest and some things can manifest. And there's like 6 different stages of ethereal things.
36 chambers of death. That's what he's talking about.
Bigfoot ain't nothing to fuck with. But yeah, it's a mad thing. Like, but I do like that all these things tend to stay. Like, he's talking about the wood breaks there up high. He's talking about the pebbles. He's talking about the whoops. He's talking about the wood knocks. He's talking about the rock knocks. All that sort of stuff. The samurai chatter, like it's exactly what you would expect. And he knows, the guy writing in, he must be experiencing, because like, first of all, he's there in the middle of nowhere with his family. There's no point in making up a story like this, you'd imagine.
I'd never rule that out. I think there's any point to do anything.
Well, that's true. Yeah, people are weird. Yeah,
people are weird. But no, your logic...
But for the amount of...
Yeah, your logic still stands up, I think, in general. Because you're like, again, it's something that we do. It's very generalized. But it's like, if there's 100,000 Bigfoot stories, like... even if 10,000 of them are vaguely true, it's still very interesting. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there are of course people who do this for clout. So I don't like to say that there isn't, because like motherfuckers will be ringing into podcasts with fake ass stories just to be on the podcast. There's also people who are just delirious, who are just like straight up borderline hysterical, delirious. And look, it could be, I want to hear their own voice on a podcast or a radio show, you know.
And it's like he said that he has the neighbours a half mile away on either side or whatever. It's possible that they have some teenage kids that think this is hilarious. Now,
that's true too.
You think that for a teenager to be consistent enough to do this every night, I would doubt.
You'd be surprised.
That's true. Some of them do enjoy it. I can even feel, because I remember like robbing apples. It was almost like playing that game Outlast, where you can see the bad guy in the. But I remember we'd be like robbing apples, and you'd see the lad walking around with the torch, and you'd like, he'd be so quiet in the dark. But that's kind of we were effectively terrorizing.
We were basically big feet.
Yeah, we were big feet. We were throwing pebbles. We were going ooh ooh ooh. We're doing all that.
So we're at that stage of the podcast, folks, is mini Fuzz, where we're just going to have a general bit of a chit chat. Freedom,
the American way. By the time this comes out, we'll be getting closer.
When is the election in America? Do you know?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, find out. We're going to talk about first, while you find that out. We were at the Irish gaming market.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because we were talking about it before we started, that I think people go to these things for entirely different reasons. But you and I are basically boomers in the grand scheme of things. So like, we were essentially just going to buy retro video games. When's it on, the election?
Oh wow, it's like
happening now.
5th of November. So well, it's I don't know. Like, we may not know the result again the time Thursday. No. You'd imagine you might though.
Remember the 5th of November. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't do, like, it's not you. In Ireland, you have to win over, 50% of the vote, or whatever percent of the vote, depending on how many people are campaigning or how many people are running for it. But in America, it's about getting a certain number and you win a state.
Yeah.
So technically, it's not the whole of the country, of the people, that the vote gets counted.
No, there's
swing. That's why you have your swing states.
Proportional representation or something. I can't remember.
So like, there's something to do with lads in Ohio and the representation versus
weighted areas.
Yeah, some people way more than others, and they get extra votes.
It makes perfect sense, don't you know? But so we were at the IGM, boomers that we are. was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got some good little pickups.
So the idea of it is basically it's like a gaming market sort of thing where it has like other shite going on. There was a couple, like it was pro esportsy stuff going on. There was some of the Street
and to be
Fighter
fair,
lads.
we didn't stay for, like, we stayed for
Get the games and dips on.
Yeah, basically get the good games in the morning and get out of there. We got some nice little pickups.
Yeah, it's cool to see that like it's definitely a vibrant scene in Ireland. Like
popularity of it is way more. It's way more than it would have been even a few years ago. Because I remember like a lad I knew used to kind of sell retro games, and I'd always go to cons and I'd buy a few things off him or whatever, and he'd be there in some of the flea markets and stuff like that. You buy a few bits and pieces. So it was before retro gaming, I think, is at the level it is now. So I got a lot of stuff for cheap that's now like worth, not a lot of money, but decent enough money. But it's mad to see the amount of people that were there and the anime kind of influence as well, because a lot of people were doing their cosplay and everything.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
It was funny, like, because it was exactly the kind of attitude you'd expect them to have. Like, I can't believe I wore fucking heels today. Just like kids and running around. I recognized one Tifa, and then all the other characters, I was like, I have no idea who these people. Like, I have no idea who they were supposed to be.
Yeah, there was someone dressed as like Dark Magician, the female version from Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know what that person is. There was an Aerith there.
Was Aerith there? I didn't see Aerith.
There was a couple of Tifas. Was
there?
Yeah.
I saw the one Tifa on the way in.
No, I follow him on
just
Instagram.
So
you see their posts.
In on right. You were looking. Yeah. Gotcha.
No, that's all. I was only there to get in motherfucking games and get the shit out of there.
Yeah, we were like
we're in there for an hour,
90 minutes. Like,
in there to get in and dip.
Yeah,
spend a lot of money out.
Do 2 rounds.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed. I don't know if I said this on the pod before, but like I went to a vinyl thing like last year, and it was the first time I had browsed.
Yeah,
in like,
vinyl's tough to browse as well.
Oh fuck me, I was exhausted.
Like when you think about how much vinyl you can fit into the same area as games. Yeah,
I was like, Jez, I'm about done with this. Like it took me like an hour to do a lap around the place, and I was like, this is awful actually, because then you're like, oh fuck, I forgot where I put the last thing. But it is actually nice that you can just sort of go through things you don't like, even because like we don't do that really anymore. We literally just go, what do I want? Go on to Google, buy it, right? And like you're in this thing where you're never even like looking at things that you might have wanted to buy or something. Like you do at times, but when you're browsing, you're like, oh fuck, there's that album I forgot about. I'll grab that or whatever.
Well, like we went to HMV and we were looking at records or whatever, and I knew there was one record I wanted to get, an everything record I'd seen. I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up. And that was all I wanted. But obviously you're kind of milling around. So I wound up getting a Max Richter record, which is lovely. And then as I was about to pay, I just saw that's the Slow Dive. I can't even remember the name of the album, but Sugar for the Pill. You know, that song was on. I was like, I'll check that. It's like that real moody shoegazy stuff. And then I was just like in the room in the house by myself, just listening to it. And I was like, this is like really nice. Yeah. And I recognise that my way of buying vinyl is very different to my normal way of buying music. I like chilled shoegazy stuff when I'm on the vinyls.
Yeah, it's just paying the arse to change them, I think. So you like something that's kind of I
think there's, I don't know, for me it's just there's something about I like, yeah, like you said, paying the arse to change them, and the vinyl you go through, and there's, you know, with sort of more, maybe more downbeat stuff, they link in together nice and easy, and it's
I think, and I think like lo-fi stuff is nice on vinyl, because you can just flip it or not flip it and play it again, and it's just kind of it's like one thing you're like, oh, great. But no, I'm the same. I there's certain things I kind of gravitate more towards with it. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun going around checking out all that shit. I do like shopping every now and then. It doesn't really happen much anymore. You do kind of fall into, because like I think there's probably a lot of our listeners in the same boat as us, where like if you're in like not a city where everything is super convenient to you, as in you can go to whatever shop you like. Like I have a feeling like most people in small towns are used to just buying shit to their house, just like going online, getting what they want, getting it to their house, rather than going, because like small towns are dying on their arse. Like the shopping scene on like towns on the main street is just not great really anymore. Well, ours is decent, but it's not.
It is decent, but again, like if you go down, like for example, if we go down to the one shop that I suppose does vinyl down here, like I can never find anything that I want there.
There's a couple of things you'd buy, but like you know, you're just buying them because you're there.
I would prefer to shop and support local. But again, I can't just make myself like stuff I don't like for that endeavor.
It's the whole thing of like population size, isn't it? It's like how like Tokyo literally has everything you could possibly ever want, simply because the volume of people there is so large that they can afford to have really obscure shit on their shelves because someone will buy it. Whereas
Wexford, not so much.
If you don't have the shelf space, like, you have to pull up what sells, right?
But if you look at Japan in general, then if you travel more into the rural regions, you can buy a house for $6,000.
Do you
know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, like, if you could ever make enough money on something like this, you'd definitely be like, all right, well, I do.
You're like, why wouldn't I?
Well, sell your house here, buy a house there, have a load of fucking money just sitting there.
Then you're watching abroad in Japan and you're just getting jealous of the cunt. You're like,
I'm abroad in Japan too. Why can't I? But
like,
he's Mr. Abroad in Japan, so it's a clever name as well.
But no, I also some of our listeners play Magic got me Marvel cards today.
Oh, very good. Any cool? They have nice artwork.
Yeah,
I like their original artwork.
I bought Wolverine. The best there is the name of the card. Wolverine, the best there is.
He's the best there is at what he does, but what he does is not pretty.
No. And I bought Storm. So I was very X-Men centric.
Yeah. Wolverine and Storm had a brief romantic.
Did they?
I think in one of the X-Men things they had a bit of a
fair play by. He was riding, was he?
Wolverine. Now,
he likes to ride.
Wolverine, probably his hit rate for a very short man is impressive.
Yeah, true.
You know, like, how many 5'3" lads are out there getting the likes of Storm and Jean Grey and all.
True,
Fair play to you, Logan. I think he even knocked Psylocke there once.
Did he?
She's lethal.
Dirty bastard. She is lethal.
They're all lethal. Cyclops, Scott Summers, though, ladies man.
Yeah.
Scott Summers, like,
handsome man.
Whoever I want.
Optic Blast.
That's
what your
Gene Splice.
What more do you want other than Cyclops? Anything else new, Stranger, starting with Eamon? Excited for the elections? I'm not going to get too much into the politics.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
I'm interested to see
flies on the wall, really.
Well, like, potentially
interested flies on the wall.
Europe quite
exactly.
a bit. So let's see. Like, at the end of the day, it's not our president, so I never get too worried about all this stuff.
There's a sort of a genre of gombeen morons,
genre of histrionic maniacs
in Ireland who would say, like, sure, why do you care about what goes on in America? And it's like, because it's
trickle down, like,
because they're literally, like, we're sandwiched between America,
we're the closest country to them,
and of course, and it's just geopolitics. I mean, look, America is one of the biggest players globally, so of course, if you're in any way interested in politics, you should be interested.
It's a very strange time. You got to remember as well, like, it's not that long ago where you had all the, I suppose, effectively you had a lot of populism, World War II, all that sort of stuff, World War I as well. Like, we're just over 100 years since then, and just because things have been a certain way for a certain amount of time, I'm not saying that, like, you're gonna have these massive, like, dictators and all the rest of it, but there could be a big paradigm shift because I don't think the world hasn't been as polarized and unkeeled for a very, very long time.
Hard times make hard people, brother. That's how it goes.
We did an episode on that as well, didn't we?
Did we?
Yago, Yugi, Gogo, or fucking Jojo Gago.
What was that?
It was that the ages every something.
Oh
years, Kariora or something. I can't remember what it's called. Hard times.
Kali Yuga, was it?
Kali Yuga, yeah. And they make good times, but good times make weak men, and weak men make hard times.
Joe Rogan, please.
Joe, please. Some of this, like, it reminds me of that Dave Chappelle joke when 9/11 happened, and it was like, we're gonna go to Ja Rule to see what he has to say.
No, it is literally,
help me, Ja, please.
That's literally what's happening. It's like, what are the comedian podcasts going to tell me about politics? Like, literally,
it looks like they're all just telling you to vote for Trump. Every comedian, but maybe because it was like the edict from Mr. Rogan, and they all went, "Oh God, Joe, yes, no problem.
We must totally no."
I do like to be fair. I thought Shane Gillis was very. He was like, it's both, like, both ways are shite, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't really have any skin in the game, like, in terms of that. Like, I'm indifferent, but, ish. But I watched the Donald Trump thing, and I was just like, after about 5 minutes, my eyes had rolled so far back into my head that I was almost gone blind. And then I came back around and I watched the whole thing, but, like, honestly, What I really didn't like about it, and I say it as a fan of Joe loosely, definitely was a huge fan at one point in time, but just the way that he opened it up was very like, we're bum chums now, Dan.
He's kind of aligned himself with a lot of the stuff that they're coming out with.
You don't expect hardball questions from Joe Rogan ever, because I don't think he has it in him, only when he's a bit cranky. But you also at the same time, he loses his impartiality. Like, that's gone for me now. I can't watch him as like a curious, open-minded person anymore.
He's been semi-aligned with that side of the political spectrum for some time, especially with COVID, with all the. I wouldn't say that he's anti-trans. He's asked some good questions, but like he's leaning more towards that side, and that's fine. But would have been interesting.
Fine, but.
And look, that's at the end of the day,
it's the brand of what you want from that person. Then, right? Is like, I don't get anything from that anymore.
You can't. Well, maybe you can, but the way things are now, you can't hold him to the same standards as you could hold an actual journalist to, which I think is fair.
That's fair.
He's built that himself. That's what he is. If he's into Trump, he can get Trump on. He can be like, Trump, I love you. This is class. Yeah. It would have been interesting, because I think if he had Kamala on and she had done 3 hours, I think that might have been. I don't know. To try to be impartial myself, I listened to her on a podcast called Call Me Daddy, or She's the Daddy, or something like that. Yeah. Very like women focused, and that's fine.
God
I
forbid.
hate women.
But
they talked a lot about like, bodily autonomy and pro-choice and all that. But she just talked as a person, and I felt like, she actually seems quite amiable, and she seems.
They're all politicians will though.
But you see, when you're in that situation, you're actually talking and you're actually getting to know some. She's talked about like her parents. She talked about like stuff like that. It was interesting. The advice her mum gave her and stuff, and it was personable. But you are right. When you're on a one-on-one conversation, you do have to kind of get that across. I think
I'm not convinced with any reptilian politicians.
I'm not convinced with
honest.
either of them.
I just, for me, what it is I don't see how Donald Trump in any reality can paint himself as a working class hero, because he just simply isn't. And likewise,
Kamala's middle of the middle class. Like, but I mean, I think her father was a professor.
Yeah, I don't know her background now, but it's just what they portray themselves as. I don't know enough about her. I'd say I know more about Trump than I know about her.
But that's because she's Trump. Like him or loathe him, he puts himself out there, and he will get himself into tricky conversations, and he will sometimes say really the wrong thing that anyone who's like politically minded will be like, that's insanity, and that's not even the funny stuff, that's just in general. She's more guarded with that, and then obviously the rhetoric on that's
being a trained politician.
But no, absolutely. And then that's what Trump isn't, even though he was the president for 4 years. So you're kind of in this
still
situation,
learning, guys.
But I can totally guess. I can kind of get people voting for either candidate.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm just saying. But that's what I'm saying is like.
But who do you want running your country? Do you want a dude who's like I would like a politician who just comes out and said, this is what I think. This is exactly what I'm going to try to do. Here's as much of the risk as I can see. You take it like almost like project management. It's like, here's all the stuff.
But is Trump not the age Sleepy Joe was?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's it. Like, do
you know what I mean?
Where's Trump 4 years from now?
Yeah,
like years past.
That's what I'm saying.
At that age. Yeah, for sure.
Like Sleepy Joe was probably Trump's age now for his.
When he got in, well, he's like what, 82 or 84?
Trump is like 78.
So he's going to be exiting office around the same time. Yeah, that's it. And look, again, some 82-year-olds sharp as a tack. Like you have an age where you can't
just
become
give
the
them
president.
Horlicks and put them to bed.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm
saying.
Cup
of Ovaltine and go stop annoying me.
If you have to retire, if the general retirement age is 65, should the cutoff point for being president be around the same age? Like, you can't become the president before you're 35.
I think just give it to some fucking young lad, probably about 40
I'd
or
say
50.
give it to some lad wanking off in his ma's basement.
I say young lad, I say
green
40.
card
I'm
president.
being kind to you and I here when I say young lad at age 40, but get the Macron with his bussy. No,
mama. Yeah.
No.
But that's but it's funny, even with Macron. Can you imagine if that was the situation that the person running for office in America?
It'd be hilarious.
Can you imagine like the amount of fucking fire that'd be breathed on for because the thing about American presidents is it's so personal.
Yeah,
like they personally attack
it's
you.
football team shit, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like green,
it's fucking crazy shit, man.
Like,
it's crazy. Like that. Like, if Americans are wanting to know sometimes what the foreigner opinion is of Americans, it is definitely that they're very bombastic with all this shit, and it's like
confident.
But it's weird because sometimes it's like watching like TV, except it's their reality, and you're like, this feels like telly. Like, this feels like TV. Like those guys that are out in the street, like fucking with like Trump flags or Kamala things, and they've got like fucking loud like speakerphones, they're shouting at each other.
It's so bizarre.
And you're like, this is like a fucking movie.
I was there, like
what's going on here? What's going on with you?
I was just, you see, go to a Trump rally and there's always a few like hard bodied giant fake Tims American flags that are like, what the fuck is going on here?
No, it is but that, I think part of that though is our own fault, because our exposure to America has always been through TV as kids.
That's true.
So I always think that like Irish and UK people are always going to view America as a little bit theatrical, because we grew up consuming their media only and not really knowing American people.
They have a reality TV star running for president.
That's true too. That's true too.
And like the other thing as well is like, I don't know, with when we were exposed to all this stuff, especially with Trump, it's hard to argue. Not saying that I would want him to be president or wouldn't want to. I don't care, but like, he's entertaining. The man is entertaining.
In more ways than one.
But that's what
he's
I mean.
Entertaining if you're wanting to watch someone in out of court as well.
He's not entertaining in the way like I want him running the country. Like, but he's. What got me all the Tony Hinchcliffe stuff with like the jokes, and look, a joke is a joke. I think everyone.
Tony Hinchcliffe was twerking and it played out wrong for him.
Oh no, it was ridiculous. But the thing is, if I like, it's not like they just go, "Oh yeah, Tony, do whatever you want." There was a teleprompter, I'd imagine. All the jokes were ratified.
Well, you would hope so, but then they did have a speech outside that Four Seasons Garden Centre or whatever it was, instead of the Four Seasons Hotel at that time.
Oh yeah.
So you would hope that they're doing that.
If they are and they're allowing that to go by, I think that was a really silly, because like there's no point in taking risks like that at this point to call all the Puerto Ricans garbage. But then wasn't Biden on, and he was like, anyone who votes for Trump is garbage. It's like, we just calling each other garbage now? Like,
I suppose that has a different meaning depending on
if you're in politics and you say half of the people in this country are garbage, that's not how you get votes. Like, it's just.
But then again, Trump says a lot worse about all of them.
Oh no, he does, so and you can't hold Biden to a higher.
Just return fire there.
Because Trump is Trump, you're sort of allowed. He's like, oh yeah, he'll just say whatever.
But it's football team bullshit, though.
It is, yeah.
Let us know what you're voting and why. We'd be curious to know. Actually,
and I'm curious, will some people not vote? Because not voting is a choice as well. And when you're faced with a binary option,
I don't think not voting is a choice.
It is.
No.
I
don't think so. If you're in a democracy, and if you're proud of your country and your democracy, you should exercise the right to vote.
Yeah, but when you're not proud of your country and you have two people that you think are garbage,
well, there's other parties. I mean, you don't have to waste your vote. Well, you can still vote.
It's probably a wasted vote to vote for those other parties.
It's not. It could be a wasted vote, but it's, at the same time, if everyone votes for those other people, trends will change. Like, you have to start somewhere.
But part of it is you're showing. All things are true. Part of it is that you're showing the establishment, you're going, this is so ridiculous that I'm not even wasting my time to go out.
I don't think you're showing anyone by doing that. I think what you're doing is you're allowing other parties who are more nefarious and who are more vicious about how to go about getting votes. I think you're just letting them win. I think
you're not letting anyone win, because if you're...
Well, yeah, because someone's voting.
Yeah, but you have to vote for one or the other, and you don't want to vote for either.
Yeah, but someone else will vote, and then those other parties will get in.
It almost makes... But you don't care.
It's kind of a nihilistic thing to say that, though, I think, because you should demonstrate why...
But you're demonstrating by not voting. You're demonstrating that you have no faith in either candidate.
I just don't think that works. It
definitely doesn't.
It bugs me when people say that, because it's like, on one hand you're going to say like, oh, democracy, this and that and all, but then you may as well live in a gulag or something where there's, you don't care. Like, you're just going to...
No, I don't think it's not that you don't care. I think that there's no point in putting a punt on either one of them because they're both garbage.
Even get into politics yourself then. Anything is better than just going, I think nothing is going to...
politics just because you don't want to vote for either person.
But you don't have to vote for either person. As I'm saying, there's always an option that is better than not voting, is what I'm saying. There's always going to be someone who you will align with better than just not voting. Like always. Always. Like in Ireland, there's the Social Dems, the Greens, no, but in like Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael.
Can you vote for anyone else Labour in America, or are you just left with these two? Because
I think you can. Yeah, presidential candidates. Yeah, there are other ones. It's not just the two of them.
But all the time is with the two of them. Like all the media coverage is just the two of them because they're the only two that are gonna. Yeah. And that's what I mean.
Well, that's why. Like there was what's his name for what was the one? Remember, it was actually Joe Rogan was twerking for him before he started twerking for Trump. It wasn't Bobby Kennedy before Bobby Kennedy again. It was the what's his name? And Joel said he was a libertarian. He was the lead candidate for libertarians. Can't remember, but yeah, you can run for president. You know, Kanye West ran for president. So anyone can vote.
I get out of bed to vote for Kanye. No, I get what you're saying. I think when it's pointless, it's up to yourself how you feel about it.
Yeah,
like if you it's gonna be Trump or Kamala. It's not like some dude's gonna come out the side and be like, haha.
Oh no, I know that. But what I'm saying is, the more people that vote for left of field candidates who are say left of field as in the term, leftist candidates, but the more people who vote for those people, the more money and the more interest will come to them over time.
The next 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
But you're just going to have to, like, that's just how it works. You're like, unfortunately, if you're wanting to be any kind of two-party, or in Ireland is two-party, let's be honest. In any kind of place like that, you're just going to have to try and...
Well, less so. I think Ireland less so than... Because we don't have the vote. Well, we do have the presidential...
No, Ireland is good.
But it's but right now we have many other options, but I think no one's really making a great start. But no, I do see what you're saying. I kind of think it show, maybe is it more so it's giving you a view of the electorate, and that they're just like, what the fuck, like, by not voting. Not that they should, to make an ideological stamp, but just to be like, I just can't be arsed. Like, I'm not doing it, and because of me not doing it, here's like this huge group of people who just aren't engaging with politics because they feel like there's no point.
Yeah, I just think for all those people that won't engage, you're going to have passionate lunatics who are going to engage for every other party. True. So I think that by sitting out on the sidelines, you're just always going to lose out. And I think, I think
ultimately you have to lose out.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. Like,
you're going to lose out one way or the other. Also.
But there's no point. Like, if you're going to take that stance, in my opinion, there's no point in complaining about anything.
Yeah, that's true as well.
It's like you have to try and make a difference if you believe in it. And
do you think there's going to be riots after the election? Yeah,
of course.
I think no matter who wins,
which is really like, which is just a really like
bizarre.
It's really weird that it's gotten this bad. Now, it's always been this way. I had a conversation with a friend earlier about this, but like, presidents have been assassinated in America. Like, there's been terrorist stuff in America. Yep. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that was politically charged over the years. Regardless, it does seem like it's getting a bit worse now. But then again, that could just be media oversaturation.
That's very true. Like, if you actually go to these places, what's it feel like?
Like, it's hard to know.
And then you wonder about the amount of people who are getting turned one way or another because, the algorithms and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be a conglomerate of them in a place that goes to riot? So it looks like this mad thing, but actually it's only a couple of thousand people who are already maniacal, turned into like just totally one way right or one way left.
I can't remember the name of that libertarian candidate. He made a fucking idiot of himself right at the end.
Did he?
But
is that the Indian guy? Or?
No, I can't remember his name. He was on Joe and all. I can't remember his name. But like, he made a really silly error. Right. And I don't know whether it was like getting a country wrong or like, he did something that was just
like a John Cena on it.
Yeah. But like, it was one of those things where he just completely scuttled his whole thing. Yeah. But he had a lot of traction for that kind of person. Like for one, as an Irishman, I had never heard of a libertarian. And then when I heard this whole, this guy's a libertarian, and then you look up libertarian, I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And And you go, all right, so you could say that guy and even Joe at the time mentioning that was influential. And you're like, Jesus, like, what if you had 20, 25, 30 years of people, not necessarily libertarian, but a growing movement with values and ideas that align with hopefully more people, because times are changing. Like, you would think that there's room now for different parties to shift in and kind of sweep up people. Very hard though. There's a lot of obstacles in the way for any new party trying to get in. Actually, sometimes it seems like Ireland is a lot easier to kind of get your feet in.
Well, what's amazing in Ireland is how many people have been disenfranchised with the current government.
Yeah.
Got a new sort of Taoiseach.
Yeah.
And to be fair to the man, whether you like him or not, like, I don't know if it's partially Sinn Féin just shit in the bed over and over again. But like, they're gonna win. Fine Gael are gonna win.
Probably. But sure, then Irish people are just like
afraid
of everything. So it's like, let's keep the status quo. Asher be grand.
As things aren't really bad. Did Dublin go on fire this time last year? It should be grand.
Should be grand. Like, that's what we are. So like, I mean, you know, it's interesting. Look, hope we didn't ruffle any feathers talking about politics.
I know, and look, to be fair, it's like you said, and we're not disagreeing or agreeing.
Stop talking about politics.
Like, I'm sure some people are quite passionate about whoever they're voting for. From my point of view, I'm like, looks pretty ropey either way, but I don't fucking know. The other thing is, this is a podcast about Bigfoot and stuff, so, you know,
vote Bigfoot.
I would vote Bigfoot.
If you want change, vote Bigfoot.
I tell you, what would scare the shit out of Putin? A fucking 9-foot hair man being like, better get out of
what would scare the shit out of politicians in general is if they look at their ballot and they go, fuck, hundreds of thousands of people are voting for Bigfoot.
I'd say
there you go.
Vote for Bigfoot. He wouldn't even need to, he'd just stand on the podium and he just wouldn't say anything for 40 minutes. He'd just be like, look at the magnificence of Bigfoot. Like, it'd be the first, like, the fact of fucking, like, the other thing as well, just the charade, Hulk Hogan coming out and Tony Hinchcliffe doing stuff, and then Beyonce being like, sure, left is class. Stop, like, everybody stop.
It's not even really true left and right stuff even. And it's like, and look, and you hate to see it, because ultimately, like, I love American culture. I actually do. Like, of course. Like, there's been so much over the years. You're talking about, well, we wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for American culture, you could argue, because Bigfoot is kind of the jewel
very true.
in all of that. But, you know, our medium, we mainly grew up consuming fucking American shite.
Stuff,
so comic books, whether it be comic books, movies, music, or whatever, that's the reality of it. And I think that's actually also why, as Irishmen, we can start a podcast and get a lot of American listeners, because we can all relate to each other, because we all grew up on the same shit.
Well, if we were just doing Heidely
shit, exactly.
Intersection.
Which is why there's a lot of Irish podcasts that are very, very Irish that aren't big outside, where we're the opposite. We have way more American listeners than we do Irish listeners. We've like barely any Irish listeners. Like, they're like number 4 in our top 4. So it's sad to see, actually, the division, the frustration, all of that on both sides. You're just like, that. It sucks that that's the way it is. And likewise here, I fucking hate seeing, I really hate when I see people that are crazy divided and opinionated over mad shit that a lot of the time isn't even relevant to anything. You're like, oh wow. So it's just a weird time. It's a weird time. It's spooky. Mind yourselves over there, no matter where you are.
Yeah, because it'll be interesting this time next week when we're recording, at least.
Yeah, we'll know.
We'll have some more info.
Yeah, and
InfoWars.
Mind yourselves, and hopefully whoever you voted for gets into power. Yeah.
Yeah, don't vote for no one.
No. I've been Rob.
Amen.
Monster Fuzz, baby mini Fuzz, over and out.